What's going on, guys? We are finally back for the back nine of the final round of the 2017 United States Amateur Disc Golf Championship. So after hole 9, we have Brandon at 3 under par, Dylan 1 under, Alec even, and Colin 1 over par. So let's get on to the action and see who's going to be taking down the 2017 Am Nationals. So after hole 9 is obviously hole 10. It's 370 feet. It is a pretty difficult par 3. The trick on this hole, in my opinion, is being able to throw a very, very tall anhyzer shot that's basically going to stay over to the right. If it's going to hyzer out too early, that's going to be pretty difficult for you. If anything, you kind of want to throw an uncomfortable anhyzer. And Brandon kind of gets the line here. It's just a little too low. Maybe if that was about 30 feet higher, it would have worked out, but he should be able to get up and down for an easy 3. And if you do have a pretty smashed sidearm, this works out very well in your favor. It's just you got to miss those guardian trees that Colin found there. Alec opting for the backhand. Again, kind of does what Brandon does. That was just a bit higher. It would have worked out much better, I would think. And then Dylan correcting off of Alec and Brandon just gets it past those trees much higher. And he puts himself way up there looking for a pretty close birdie. And Brandon here trying to give this a bit of a run, but getting up and down for a 3 is just fine. Same thing with Colin here. It's a pretty steep green. If you hit the basket and roll away, that's pretty unfortunate. So getting out of there with a 3 is nice. Alec doing the same thing, and Dylan from probably circle's edge, just outside the circle's edge actually, looking to get that too, and just right off the front of the cage and gets that nasty roll. And while I was recording this, I'm sorry, I didn't even watch the roll happen. I was just too awestruck by how that actually happened. So he unfortunately is the closest, but is going to be taking the bogey 4. And that's what can happen on this green here. And then Brandon just looking to tap out. Same with Alec and Colin there. Brandon with a nice putt right in the center. Alec looking to clean up as well. Should be pretty easy. And Colin should be able to just reach in and drop it into the bucket. So just a couple pars there. 1 bogey by Dylan. Still a very close race. Colin just needs to get a couple more birdies and he can put himself well up there still. So hole 11 is uphill, just over 300 feet. In my opinion, if you have a good sidearm or even a nice hyzer flip backhand game, it plays well for either of those shots. Whatever you can throw straight and uphill, you kind of want to play this as you're trying to overthrow it, because playing uphill is actually a much farther shot than the actual distance. So if it's 320 feet or so, you're probably throwing almost a 400-foot shot. So Colin and Brandon are unfortunately on the right-hand side, but they should have a pretty easy look to get up and down for 3. Alec throws a great shot there, just a little short, but he's going to be circle's edge or so. Dylan is throwing his yellow leopard again, and it disappears into that blinding sky, unfortunately. But he's well within the circle looking for another birdie too. Hopefully he can capitalize for the last hole bogey. And Brandon gets up there for an easy 3. Colin was lining this one up, trying to run this. There's a couple guardian trees he had to get past, and unfortunately grabs the one on the left side. So he's just in front of Alec here, and Alec's looking for a 2, and just low and left. But he will be tapping in for 3. Colin looking to save his 3 from a little bit closer, and makes a sneaky left side putt. He's definitely happy with that one there. And then we got Dylan from just inside the circle's edge. You know he really wants this one, and he nails it. It's a huge comeback from that last bogey. And Alec just tapping in there. Same with Brandon. Again, a couple pars, but a birdie here this time. Dylan goes back under par. On to hole 12. Another par 3. 534 feet, but I'd say this is another difficult par 3. Not quite a 4 because of the downhill play, but difficult because of the shot you actually have to throw. If you have a really good sidearm, you can probably get down there for a good putt, but you don't quite get the glide, in my opinion. I like going for the backhand turnover, so once it starts gliding over, it's just going to get into that cove, and it's got a better chance to make the distance to get to the bucket. Dylan goes a little wide, but he's centered in the fairway. Brandon throwing the same buzz as he did the previous day, going a little inside, but if it's anything like yesterday, that's going to be an 80-footer that's well within his range. Colin also going for a sidearm, more of a sky kind of flexing shot to try to get over the trees, but he kind of clips one of the last ones at the end there. But he's going to have a pretty easy approach shot. And then Alec throws the shot that I like throwing a lot, but I think he went a little too flippy because it just started dumping way more than you want, but that's exactly the line that I like throwing here. And then we got Dylan, just an easy up and down, straight at the bucket. Walk away with a 3 here. It feels pretty good. Getting a 2 on this hole is a huge bonus. And then Alec doing the same thing as Dylan and almost throws this one in. Again, another pretty easy 3 for them there. Colin going with a little sidearm with a judge, I believe. He's going to be off to the right side just a little bit. And then we got Brandon from almost only 20 feet away from where he was at yesterday. You know, he really wanted to make this one here, but mimicking an 80-footer through the trees would be highly, highly impressive. So hopefully you get all 3s here. Alec makes a great putt there. Then we got Colin for the same. Everybody looking just to get a 3 and get out of here. He kind of scoots that one over the rim. Walks it off. You know he's happy to make that one there. And Dylan for the same. And then last but not least, we got Brandon. We have a star par for the card going into hole 13, which in my opinion is probably one of the easier par 4s on this course. It is 516 feet, so it's shorter than the previous hole, but it plays much longer because it's uphill instead of downhill. So you kind of want to get up the hill as far as you can and then throw a hyzer over the ridge, just as Colin and Alec are doing here. They're opting for a 360 sidearm, allegedly. But Dylan's going to have the tee. Fortunately, he likes going to that left side. It was a different PD2, I believe. But so it was just playing a little harder for him. I'm not sure if he was slipping on the tee pad or just early releasing, because it was really hot out this weekend. But Brandon showed you exactly where you want to be on this hole. You want to be in that fairway as high up as you can, but you don't want to try to overthrow this and mess up, because even if you're at the base of the hill, it is still possible to get a 3 from down there. And Alec coming up just short of where Brandon landed. But even from where he's at here, should be a pretty easy approach shot, just as long as you can get over the hill and past the wooden stakes and wooden sign. But yeah, Alec should be well within circle with that one there. Dylan with a tough sidearm turnover uphill, and it was really hard to see there. That disc was like a smoke-colored disc, so it was really hard to follow. Colin from the other fairway just throws his gator up there, and Brandon just throwing the putter right up into the circle there. And Dylan is actually the furthest away from everybody, and he's just on the circle's edge as well. And the putt looked great. You know he wanted that one there, but can't be unhappy with that bid. Hitting metal from outside the circle is very good. Of course you want it to stick, but it's better than airballing in most cases. Colin makes a really good putt there for birdie 3. And then Dylan is just going to be cleaning up his par. And then Brandon and Alec are absolutely parked on their second shot for their third. You can see Alec there just ducking under the branches just to get his putt in there. So a bunch of birdie 3s, the only par 4 for Dylan there. It's pretty ideal for those guys. And then on to hole 14, it's 375, not slightly downhill, it's pretty far downhill. You could even throw a mid-ranger putter on this hole. I do believe Brandon's throwing his orange buzz again. And you kind of want to throw it at the spotter down there that you can see in the red shirt, but you want to be probably about 100 feet over his head, and then just hyzering in. You got to miss that tree just like Brandon did. So if you play this hole, just throw exactly how Brandon did, and you'll be completely fine. And another backhand from Colin here. Looked very good. It was super smooth, just a little wide, but he's going to be outside the circle's edge for his birdie. Then we got Alec here. Just about the same as Brandon's, but I think he actually threw a fairway driver, so it gained a little more distance than Brandon's. But he's going to be putting for 2. And then Dylan kind of goes a little inside and catches that tree there, and he's going to have a pretty tough up and down. Not as tough as years past, though. All these trees used to be way more lush because there used to be way more Russian olives. But he's up and down. He should be tapping in for a 3. And then Colin here from probably 50 feet away or so, and a nice little floating putt that just barely misses the basket. And then you got Alec from probably the same distance, maybe a little closer. That tree really isn't in his way. He is just to the right enough of that tree that it didn't encumber his shot, but unfortunately just kind of comes up a little low. And then Brandon with the best drive of the bunch. You know, he wants this one for 2. And nails it. That was a great putt. Great 2 for Brandon there. Gains another stroke on the whole card. Dylan just tapping in for 3, as does Alec and Colin here. Little love and support for each other. These guys like each other a lot. I think they're good friends. Probably from the same area. I'm not actually sure, but they definitely play like they're best friends. And then, unfortunately, I don't have the flyover for hole 15, but it is about 630 feet or so, and it is a par 4. And with the lack of bushes all over this fairway, you can actually bite off a lot, just as Brandon shows here. You can kind of see his disc through the trees, and he gets way down there. He's going to have a pretty easy second shot to have a birdie 3 on this hole. And this hole does also set up nicely if you have a bomb sidearm, as Colin does here. He just nails that center fairway and just hyzers out and gets down that hill quite a ways. And then Alec throwing a turnover, unfortunately comes up a little short, but even from there, it's fairly wide open. You just got a couple trees you have to miss to throw a shot that's going to get to the green. And Dylan there going with the sidearm as well. I think he actually gets a little farther than Colin. He's got one of the better sidearms that I've seen out of anyone that I've seen play. And then we got Alec here showing you exactly what I was talking about. You just got to miss the couple trees and you're up in the circle for your birdie 3. And Colin going with a gator here. And he puts it even closer than Alec. And Dylan, I almost missed his shot. He's a quick player. Going with another sidearm, even puts it closer than Colin. Let's see if Brandon can do the same and one-up Dylan. He is so far down here that he could actually putt at the bucket here. So he's looking to make this. And just barely misses it. So he even one-up Dylan. He almost made it, but is actually still closer than Dylan. These guys are making this hole look super easy. This is one of my more favorite holes on this course, too. I really like how it plays in the green of the bucket and everything. And Alec makes a good putt there. Kind of sneaks it in on the left side, but regardless, it sticks. It's a 3 on the scorecard anyway. And then we got Colin here looking for his 3 as well. And just unfortunately just kind of fluffs it looked like, and just barely made it to the top of the lip, and it just kind of spit him back out. Dylan just tapping in here. Same with Brandon. And Colin, unfortunately, just drops in his putt. So it's still a pretty close race, but Brandon is kind of pulling away here at this point. Moving into hole 16. Another par 3. It's 354 feet. There's a ton of ways that you can attack this one. You can throw a sidearm flex. You can throw straight at it, and you can even throw a big flexing overstable disc over the trees, which is my preferred line. But Brandon goes up the center, kind of pulls it right a little bit. There's a lot of trees to contend with if you're going straight at this basket, but where he's at, he's going to have a long look for birdie, if not just laying up for 3. And Alex was kind of hard to see. As soon as he released it, he was actually blocking it, but just barely missed that tree. But he's going to be looking to just get up and down for his par. Dylan kind of saws it off a little bit, catches that tree, and he's going to have a long approach shot to the bucket. And then Colin is opting for that sidearm straight at it. But it gets a crazy wind bounce and just kind of, I don't even know. I've only seen that happen a couple times, so he's going to have another upshot just like the rest of the guys here. Looked like it was a really good run from Dylan there, but it was a little short from making it, but he's right there for his par. Same with Alec here. And then Colin just setting up for, he had a much lower window than Alec, so he's going for a sidearm. Again, with his judge here. Just looking to get up and down and get his par and move on to the next hole. Yeah, beautiful touch by Colin there. He's right under the bucket. And then Brandon, I'm sure he's looking to run this. He's got a long spin putt, but just trying to get up and down. Maybe not trying to risk too much. It was windy this day, so if he sailed long, he's already in the lead. There's no reason to throw strokes away. And everybody here just tapping in for their 3s. There's Dylan in. Brandon's just underneath the bucket there. Yeah, unfortunately, it's kind of hurts missing this hole, but it's not necessarily the easiest par 3 on this course. But usually you would think that there'd be a birdie or 2 on the lead card. But on to hole 17, a par 4, 755 feet. One that you can really kind of unload on the tee pad, or off the tee pad. But really, you want to be more left side, I would say. There's the third wheel out there that you kind of want to aim at and then hyzer into that short grass there. If you turn over or go straight long of that wheel, you can end up in those kind of little ditch or toboggan runs, rather, and you could have some really bad footing. So Brandon's shot looked not so good, but it's actually a pretty decent shot from over there. He's going to have good footing. Alec turned his over a little bit, so he's going to have a rough second shot. And then Dylan just shows you exactly how you want to tee off on this hole. He gets way, way out there, and then hyzers a little left into the short grass. And then Colin going with a backhand here, surprisingly, and he also does the same thing as Alec. Gets a fortunate roll out from that long grass and off that hill. But Alec was kind of on the side of the hill, so his planting was going to be a little awkward. But he gets way up there from where he was at, so he's going to have probably a 60-footer or so for his birdie. And then Brandon from almost hole 1 is thrown straight at this, but it kind of turns over on him a little too long. So he had the distance right. It was just not quite as stable as he needed to go. So he's going to have a long approach just to get up there, probably most likely for his par. And then Colin's smashing his sidearm way up there, just short of the top of the hill. Kind of gets a little roll back. And then we got Dylan here, who's actually in the toboggan run that I was talking about, but his footing wasn't that bad. He's just on the edge of the hill. He's going to be looking for a pretty routine birdie, I would say. He's probably about circle's edge, if not inside. I know he's going to try to give that one a run. Brandon just gets up and down for his par. And then Alec looking to give this a run just off the front of the cage, unfortunately. It was such a good putt by him. And then Dylan from circle's edge. And you know he wants this one here. Chance to get a stroke on Brandon, and he does. And then Brandon from probably 15 to 20 feet away or so, just to tap in for his par. God, and unfortunately, he gets one of the nastiest spit outs at probably one of the most unfortunate times, actually. Because as of right now, I believe there is a 2-stroke difference between Brandon and Dylan. Yeah, Brandon is at 18 under, Dylan is at 16 under. So moving into 18 with a 2-stroke difference between Dylan and Brandon. And this hole isn't the easiest finisher hole, which is good because that makes it a good finishing hole. So it's 315 feet uphill, probably plays about 400 feet. Everyone high-fiving each other, congratulating each other, probably ready to get this round over. We've all been out there for about 3.5, 4 hours or so. And Dylan is going to be up first. After long contemplation, he goes with a sidearm with his PD2. And again, kind of disappears into the sun, unfortunately, but he absolutely nails this shot. Definitely putting the pressure on Brandon. And then Alec here, going with the backhand shot. Goes kind of low, but he's going to have a long putt for birdie. If anything, an easy up and down for a 3. Colin with a great sidearm game. Not surprising that he's going to be going sidearm on this hole. And gets it exactly almost how Dylan does, just kind of hyzers a little too early and grabs that foliage that you need to miss. And then Brandon, he unfortunately just kind of pulls it off to the right and is making this really difficult on himself. Dylan's up there for a putt for 2, and he's going to be struggling to get a 3, and if he bogeys here, then that's going to force a playoff. And he goes with a sidearm approach and grabs the foliage, and he's going to be outside the circle for his par putt. As we move on to Colin, he also is outside the circle. Wants to give this a run, but unfortunately it's just a little too high and hyzers out on him. Alec looking to do the same. A little bit closer and just low left side, and that was a great attempt by him. And this putt for Brandon is for the win. This is huge. And he absolutely nails this putt. If he would have missed that, Dylan could have made his putt, but that was a huge 3 by Brandon for the win. Everybody congratulating him. Dylan, one of the first to actually high-five Brandon. It was great sportsmanship. And here's Dylan for his 2. As you can see, he was just inside the circle, and I guarantee if Brandon would have missed that putt, Dylan would have made that. Maybe a little more concentration on it, but even with that miss, Dylan is still taking solo second. And then everybody else here is just going to be taking their 3s. Colin tapping in, and Alec here for the same. And Dylan to round it off.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? It is my honor to introduce you to your 2017 United States Amateur Disc Golf Team.
Woo! Yeah! Let's go!
First off, I want to start off with thanking my sponsors, Detroit Disc Company.
Woo!
Helped me out a lot this year, and Team Under 54.
Woo!
And yeah, they did a great job this year. The course looks immaculate. And thanks to my caddies, I couldn't do it without them.
Hell yeah, fuck yeah, dude. Yeah, let's go! Ah!
Alright, great speech by Brandon there. Everybody was cheering him on, and so much love from everybody. So congratulations to Brandon there. He takes home the win. Dylan with the solo second place. Alec takes 4th, and Colin gets snuck up on and takes home 6th place. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the coverage, and we hope to see you guys next year at AmNats.